I'm perfectly serious when I suggest that one day we may have brain surgeons in Edinburgh operating on patients in New Zealand. When that time comes, the whole world will have shrunk to a point, and the traditional role of the city as a meeting place for man would have ceased to make any sense. On the other hand, if by some miracle a prophet could describe the future exactly as it was going to take place, his predictions would sound so absurd, so far-fetched, that everybody would laugh him to scorn. This has proved to be true in the past, and it will undoubtedly be true, even more so, of the century to come.
How do we construct an environment which we're kind of constantly learning and teaching each other? Because if you think about it a moment, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So why can't we have kids teach other kids? And how do you construct a context where that's possible?
Hang with me in my MMO. So many places we can go. You'll never see my actual face. Our love will be in virtual space.
So the example I gave a second ago was working shoulder to shoulder with another student. But maybe now it's only my avatar is working shoulder to shoulder. And maybe what I now have is infinitely more powerful tools to be able to craft things with.
So I read this statistic, and it just blew my mind that YouTube had 5 billion videos viewed in July. Honestly, I think it was a typo. Like, how could that possibly be?
Because my kids did 80 million of them right there. Just the two of them.
So, it's Friday night, and still jobless, yay. I haven't left the house in a week. My therapist broke up with me. Oh yeah, there's a gnome warlock in my living room, sleeping on my couch.
We feel that we are not as good in reality as we are in games. And I don't mean just good as in successful, although that's part of it. We do achieve more in game worlds. But I also mean good as in motivated to do something that matters, inspired to collaborate and to cooperate. And when we're in game worlds, I believe that many of us become the best version of ourselves, the most likely to help at a moment's notice, the most likely to stick with a problem as long as it takes, to get up after failure and try again. And in real life, when we face failure, when we confront obstacles, we often don't feel that way. We feel overcome, we feel overwhelmed, we feel anxious, maybe depressed, frustrated, or cynical. We never have those feelings when we're playing games. They just don't exist in games.
So how do you put that, we're all running businesses, how do you put that to work? I mean, that's an amazing phenomenon that is so different than just 3 years ago, right?
This is so important. Ready? No one cares about you. They invented television to sell ads to you. They invented radio to sell ads to you. They invented newspapers to sell ads to you. That's not why they invented YouTube. That's not why they invented the internet. The internet doesn't care about you. People don't have to watch Channel 7 anymore. They can entertain themselves mindlessly for hours by pressing the stumble upon button. So if someone's going to watch a video, they're not going to watch it because they care about you. They're going to watch it because they care about me.
Them, right.
Me, my favorite person, me. They're not going to read email from you. They're going to read me-mail because that's who they care about.
So we have an entire parallel track of education going on where young people are learning as much about what it takes to be a good gamer as they're learning about everything else in school.
I'm Mr. T, and this is my night elf mohawk.
Cut, T, there's no such thing as a night elf mohawk.
Shut up, fool! Like I was saying, my mohawk storms through mighty forests on his frost saber. My mohawk...
T, it's a warrior, not a mohawk.
Well, maybe Mr. T hacked the game and created a mohawk class. Maybe Mr. T's pretty handy with computers. Has that occurred to you, Mr. Condescending Director? I'm Mr. T, and I'm a night elf mohawk.
I'm thinking of the incredible breakthrough which has been made possible by developments in communications, particularly the transistor and, above all, the communications satellite. These things will make possible a world in which we can be in instant contact with each other, wherever we may be, where we can contact our friends anywhere on Earth, even if we don't know their actual physical location.
There's an economist named Edward Castronova whose work is brilliant. He looks at why people are investing so much time and energy and money in online worlds. And he says we're witnessing what amounts to no less than a mass exodus to virtual worlds and online game environments. And he's an economist, so he's rational. And he says, not like me, I'm a game designer, I'm exuberant, but he says that this makes perfect sense. Because gamers can achieve more in online worlds than they can in real life. They can have stronger social relationships in games than they can have in real life. They get better feedback and feel more rewarded in games than they do in real life. So he says, for now, it makes perfect sense for gamers to spend more time in virtual worlds than the real world. Now, I also agree that that is rational for now, but it is not by any means an optimal situation. We have to start making the real world work more like a game.
Kids don't want to watch, they want to do, they want to make. They can't watch television without wanting to make it themselves. They no sooner seen a drama than they're out acting it through with their friends and enjoying it. I'm critical, I think, of the narrowness of our definition of literacy. And for me, this isn't about media literacy or digital literacy, or for me, literacy is about being able to tell a story. It's about to, can you narrate with video? Can you narrate with audio? It's quite hard, actually. Telling a picture, in a workshop I do with teachers, can you tell a story in 8 pictures with no sound and no text? It's quite a tough call, but for kids it's easy because they are naturally literate. Now, what we're not doing is building on their natural literacy. It's a bit like they all turned up at school able to read and write, and we said, well, that's job done. I mean, it isn't job done. We try and build on that. We introduce them to poetry, to extraordinary literature. We introduce them to controversial literature. We should do that right across the board,
Oh my god, you guys. Zabu hasn't been on in 39 hours.
What the heck?